Hello, good evening, welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Fox Chair, on the show this evening is the one and only Jaffa and the First Lady of Rangers Radio, Linda. Evening, people.
Evening, Ox. Evening, Linda. Hope you're all well.
Evening, Ox, Jerry. Evening, Jaffa. Evening to all the listeners. Hope you're all keeping well.
It's good to get Dempsey and Makepeace back together again.
See that I must admit, Ox, as I'm getting older, that rolling over the bonnet's getting harder.
and less frequent. Did you have that hairdo, Jaffa?
Probably aye, at some point or other, aye. I remember.
And you don't know what I'm talking about, Linda.
A Glennis Barber.
How did they go to that? Sorry, I apologise.
For all the younger members, they need to Google it.
How we doing?
Very well.
Excellent, Ox. Yep, very well.
And how are you, Jaffa? How are you?
Not bad, mate. Not bad at all. Yep. Looking forward to the football coming back. I have to say, and I must admit, it was good to watch men against boys during the week. Scotland under 14s won, England 3.
It just shows you that everything we talk about here, and you talk about Scottish football, you've got to get more pace, power, and skill into the game, Linda. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think the expectations were high for them getting into the game because they've had a good start to the campaign. But the England players it was just a class above, and the boy that Jude Bellingham is some player, Ox, isn't he? And I think Rangers fans have got a wee soft spot for him because he was very complimentary when he played at Ibrox with Dortmund, and he seems to be a nice lad off the park as well, very respectful, and what a fantastic footballer he is. I think Real Madrid have got a bargain there in today's climate.
I think Stevie says he'll win a Ballon d'Or if he keeps up his progression. There's no doubt. The boy looks a special talent. Yeah. Jaffa.
Oh, he looks brilliant, Ox. Aye, he does. I mean, him and you could probably pick about another 5 or 6 players in that England team on Wednesday night. Tuesday night looked irresistible. They looked brilliant. They really did. Their control, their one-touch football was an absolute joy to watch. It was a lesson in football. Not one shot in target. It was a true. It was an absolutely outstanding. But Jude Bellingham was definitely the pick of the bunch. He absolutely ran the show from start to finish. Kyle Walker, right back.
I think one of the disappointing things for us is we're recruiting players and we're bringing players in. I mean, we recognise where we are and we recognise where our game is. But you're looking for people with pace and power and that. And I think we've been let down for a few years with our recruitment, Linda.
Yeah, and I know we're shopping in a particular market. But you would like to think when we're spending £5 or £6 million on a player, or a couple of players, that we're going to get something like that. And it's all comparable when you think about our league, and they're coming to play in our league. And I think when we, particularly thinking about this summer, when, this rebuild and the types of players he was bringing in, we thought we were getting a bit of an upgrade. Certainly better than what we'd been witnessing over the last couple of seasons. Alfie, you look at Alfredo Morelos at his peak, he had power, and he was, he wasn't, dead fast, but he was quick over a few yards, and he used to bully defences. We didn't see that in Alfie the last sort of 15, 16 months. but we're looking for players like that. We're looking for, for them to find us kind of hidden gems, if you, for want of a better phrase there, Ox. And this is all to do with the scouting as well. But certainly I think that the players that they brought in the summer, I know it's early doors, but I think we were expecting a bit more, Ox.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement. We recognise we can't attract maybe to the pool that we chopped in before, Jaffa, but we feel a bit let down. But I did see that the scouting system's been shaken up, so Mr. Bisgrove, and again, what's happening here, we want value for money, yeah?
Absolutely, Ox. And I think the only evidence that we've got, and it is evidence, hard, fast evidence that we've got in recent years of recruitment actually working, was examples like, for example, let's take Calvin Bassey. So we done a cross-border deal with Leicester City. Now we all saw on Tuesday night at close quarters the quality of the English Premier League in full view of us. Arguably the best league in the world, Ox. And probably is the best league in the world. But they're producing players of that quality, and it's not just the guys that were on the park. They've got a conveyor belt of that type of player, all 6 foot.
Our players became lazy.
Possibly, possibly. But we're the closest. Our border is the closest to England. And we should be. I don't know why we've stopped looking at those types of players that are playing in Leicester's academy or Brentford's academy, because that's the kind of quality of player that's the kind of quality you need to make the grade in the EPL. And quite honestly, not all of them are going to make it. But we should definitely be shopping more in England. Our recruitment, our scouts should be scouring the English Premier League, the under-21 games, the under-18 games, and seeing these guys coming through. Because there will be some guys that want to move, and like Calvin Bassey did, and took the opportunity, and look what happened there. Now, I know it's probably 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 15 chance that will happen. But you can get it. Those types of players are in England. That's the kind of quality that's coming through those academies, and we're not accessing them, and we have got access to them. We're right on their doorstep, and that for me is the glaring hole in your recruitment policy. Is there any need to go and run away to Italy and far-flung places to recruit players that we don't really know a hell of a lot about?
Yet and you've got to worry about the cultural clash, yeah.
Aye, exactly, Ox. Exactly.
I get it. But for 2012, we decided we wanted Scottish football wanted to move out the slipstream of the EPL, and we paid a heavy price for it, Linda. Also, some people would say, but we're concerned about our team, yeah?
Yeah. And we seem to have changed our focus to players that have lost their way a wee bit. Players that were perhaps touted at, 10, 12 million pounds, possibly being in that market a few years ago. But as I said, they've lost their way. And we've gone and picked them up in the hope that we can turn them back into the potential they were shown maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and maybe even flip them for a profit in a couple of years' time. I mean, Todd Cantwell is a classic example of that, and we were so excited by what he was able to do when he came in January. And all right, we didn't win anything, but he was kind of one of the shining lights, as was Nico Raskin, who's a different type. He's a young player coming through. But those two players have actually not shown the form in the first month, 6 weeks of the season, which is a bit of a disappointment. But Jaffa's right. Even things like the Championship in England, there's pace and power, and there's good goal scorers, and there's good players there, Ox. But I don't even know if we're priced out of that market as well. But no, we seem to have changed our approach. But the other thing is that Michael Beale's given us the impression that some of these players have been on his radar for years, Ox.
Maybe it's time to get a new radar.
Good one.
But I get it, under your pace power and that. You're right. you know, with Ivan Toney in the building, you know, and we were close to signing him. And I've read his rationale for no coming. He didn't want to be the third striker, Jaffa.
Aye.
And, you know,
third striker, Ivan Toney. He could be 1, 2 and 3 striker. He could have done the 3 jobs himself. He's that good. Yeah, it's the recruitment certainly.
Fox's message may be a point. We've got the guy Parkin, you know, he's obviously had a reputation there again. And he's came to us. Is it a generational thing? Is he was doing it 15 years ago? As the game moved on, as he reached his mid-60s, is he maybe too old to be doing that now? Has the game changed? Is that, you know, I'm not having a go at the guy, it's just a generational thing, Jaffa.
Possibly, Ox, possibly. I mean, at the end of the day, if the fella clearly has an eye for a player, and he has picked up and scouted a number of players over his career, and a lot of them have been highly successful. But I mean, I don't know how much involvement he maybe had in the Cantwell deal, or whether that was a Michael Beale. That's information we'll probably ever likely to find out, Ox, isn't it? Who actually was behind it? But you know, I agree with Linda. I think some of the guys that we've been bringing in recently are still, you know, it's too early to judge, Ox, on them. They've not been here long enough to judge them. Cantwell and Raskin certainly have been, you know, look the part, and I think there's definitely players in there, and they can contribute to our team and the way we want to play. I mean, Todd Cantwell in particular is I think he's a fantastic footballer. I really do.
Kicked a ball this season, Jaffa?
No, he's not, Ox. He's not.
But how many positions have we played him in?
Exactly. And that lies the problem, Ox. That is the problem this season. I don't think anybody's really kicked the ball apart from, as we've said on the show on a couple of occasions, Jack Butland, probably the only one that's really showed. And the reason Jack Butland showed is because he's played every game in his right position.
Aye. Good point you make, Jaffa. Very a true words in jest, Linda.
Aye, spot on.
Are you frustrated with Todd Cantwell not playing? And what we all think, I think we all think, is he's sort of top of the diamond, number 10, whatever you want to call it, free roll. Had him left, right, staying up top, and then we had him playing right in midfield, covering Tav as he went forward. Has it frustrated you, Linda?
It has, yes, and it's just quite astonishing that if you look at your best players and your best performances from last season for Michael Beale, you know, Todd Cantwell was arguably our best player. I mean, he should have really got Player of the Year as well, you know, even though he was only there half a season. It is really quite strange, and I'm surprised that he's not been questioned more about that at some of these press conferences, because some of the fan media, particularly that attend, they want to know specifics like that, and you wonder what sort of response Beale would give. Honestly, Ox, I just hope that over the last couple of weeks he sat down and he's thought, right, you know, what is my best team? Albeit he might not know that 100%, but surely somebody like Cantwell, hopefully he's going to be fit, he's not out with that injury. You must look and think, he was my most influential player, and I need to play him in his correct position.
Is it frustrated you, Jaffa?
Yeah, he has, Ox, but only because he's not played anywhere, you know, in the place where we want to see him most, which is in a forward role, getting into the box, breaking in late, you know, creating those runs. I haven't seen that off Todd Cantwell this season, but you know, he's not played a great deal of football in that position at all, if any. I don't know what game, because he never started the Kilmarnock game. He wasn't in the starting lineup against Kilmarnock in the first opening day of the season. And he played Sam Lammers in that role, and that didn't work, as we know. So, yeah, I'm frustrated, Ox, but I think there's a lot of frustrations at this moment in time, isn't there? But you know, we've just got to get behind the team. We've still got to support the club and hope that we can navigate our way through it and get a solution to it.
Aye. Just a spark. We look as if we're void of a spark, and a confidence, goals, whatever you call it. You know, we just need something.
Yeah, and I think you know, as we've touched on, there's been a number of the games this season where we've missed a lot of chances. I know the football's not been great, and there's been times where we're struggling to see what formation he's playing, etc. But there has been a lot of chances missed, and I've been saying this a few times that, you know, some of the players should have a few more goals to their name, Ox. We're still not clinical enough, and that was a real issue across the whole club last year. I think we thought with the players that we'd signed that was going to be solved to a certain degree. But we do need a spark. We need somebody to come in and start, like, you know, maybe score a spectacular goal. Or, you know, I know Matondo scored a great goal against PSV. That got us off our seats. But we maybe need somebody to come in, maybe, you know, score a hat-trick or something like that, Ox, one of the forwards, just to, as you say, ignite the team and ignite the fans. Because, you know, right across the whole of the fan base, everybody is in the doldrums just now. And you're right, we do need something to lift us.
Yeah. You agree, Jaffa?
Yeah, we do. We do need a. I mean, Linda makes a great point there. The one kind of shining light was that performance against PSV. You know, I know we were played off the park in the first half, but we certainly, you know, we gave them an absolute run for their money in the second half, and that was more what we want to see from the Rangers team. And
How does that work, Jaffa? We get battered in the first half. We won it 1-0. Played well in the second half and lost it 2-1.
And we lost it 2-1. I know, and then they say that's football. But I mean, as far as from a tactical point of view, Ox, you know, and we actually gave them a goal because I think we kind of wakened up and thought, wait a minute, we're standing off them too much. But we've been doing that a lot, haven't we? We've been doing that in most games where we're really standoffish. And again, sorry to keep harking back to it, but the game on Tuesday night, England just absolutely bullied Scotland for the first ball. Every tackle, they won every duel, every 50-50. They won every second ball that came down. They were absolute animals at winning the ball back. They were brilliant to watch. I loved that on Tuesday night. I absolutely loved it. From a football perspective, I'm talking about, Ox. The one-touch stuff, the football, playing it across the back line, absolute total confidence. And that, for me, I mean, they've been training at Auchenhowie for the last 3 or 4 days. I'm telling you what, I hope Michael Beale was watching them.
Aye, it's been the football ball. We'll be waiting to come out of Auchenhowie, London, isn't it?
It's a pity we couldn't try and kidnap a few of the players. You know, a lot of fans have been having a laugh about that. But
and who would you, just out of curiosity, just for the listeners and for me and Jaffa as well, we're not telling anybody, who would the 3 that you would kidnap?
I better not say too much after my John Suter faux pas the other night. Well, I tell you what, Jude Bellingham would be one of them, and he would be definitely a cardboard cutout.
So Jude would be a cardboard cutout. Go on then, anybody who's next to you, get 2 more.
Jude, I tell you, I know we've got Kyle Walker is a fantastic player, and I see he just signed a deal with extension with Man City the day it was announced. And I've got to say to you, the wee boy up front, Phil Foden, I think he's a terrific player.
He was different class.
Harry Kane would be no bad a striker to have as well, Ox.
You've been greedy now.
I know.
You've been greedy. She's been greedy, Jaffa, hasn't she?
Oh, aye. But carry on, Linda. Who else would you have?
And that finish by Harry Kane as well, Ox, wasn't it? One touch and in. I don't know what you guys think. I always think that our forwards, and it's been a problem the last few seasons, they don't shoot enough, they don't shoot early enough. It's as if we're trying to take it round the goalie, or we're taking far too many touches. One touch and shoot. And we're looking for somebody to play like that. It's just, I don't know why we seem to, our decision making in the final third has been really poor.
I couldn't agree more. Kane wasn't involved, still managed to put the ball in the net twice. Right, okay, I suppose we better get these phone lines opened, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's get the Bears in.
Yes. Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show. It's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people would disagree with your cardboard cutters, Linda, but anyways, we move on. I think Linda mentioned Michael Beale's best 11. Don't want to put you on the spot, Jaffa, but help me out.
Michael Beale's best 11. Butland.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Then I'm struggling. Seriously, Butland. His best 11. Golson and Suter. Tavernier and Barisic. I'm going for one sitting. Probably Raskin. Middle of the park. Probably Cantwell. Well, definitely Cantwell. Playing as a 10. Matondo. Try to think who else in the middle of the park, Ox. My brain's escaping me. Up front, I would go with Danilo.
You're on the right side of your three.
Go with Sima, I would suspect.
So that's a 4-1-3-1.
4-1-3-1, yeah. Or a 4-4-2, whatever way you want to play it. But yeah, probably a 4-1-3-1.
Interesting. Thoughts, Linda?
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think even that's no far off the team I would pick for Saturday. The debate is whether we try and have Roof up there, but I suppose it will depend where we're at in terms of managing him. And the other one, obviously, that's up for debate is whether Cifuentes gets himself into the best 11. But that formation, whatever formation we play, we have to try and get Todd Cantwell in his best position. I know it shouldn't be about one player, Ox, but he is, it could be the difference between us continuing to stutter and not play well, and the opposite of that would be that we really start to pick up. And Raskin as well, does anybody know why he's not been playing as well? Has he been playing slightly out of position too?
I think Raskin's, it's his distribution. I thought that even on last season. He reads the game well, gets in, he's combative in his style, Jaffa, and then he gets in his distribution, yeah. Mm-hmm. Lets him down, yeah.
So see when he was playing for Liège, and obviously when he plays for Belgium under 21s, Ox, is my understanding is he plays a more deeper role. He plays more in the middle of the park, whereas we appear to be playing him as
Fox
a holder.
Is spot on, by the way, Jaffa. You only named 9 players. You've still got your 2 white men to go.
Doing this without a pen and paper, too.
There's
Right,
only
so
9 good players.
you've got the sitter of Raskin, Cantwell in front of him in the middle. Yeah, you've got your 3 up front of Sima, Danilo and Matondo. So you've got 2 men midfielders to put on the other
2
side of Cantwell.
midfielders. I'd probably be. I would imagine Cifuentes would be one of them. If fit. I mean, it's been a mixed bag. I mean, you're saying what's Michael Beale's best 11 opts. I don't know if Cifuentes, he's been one of the new signings, so I would imagine he wants to play him. Kieran Dowell's injured. I quite like Kieran Dowell from what I've seen of him. I think he gives a good balance to the team. If Tom Longs is fit, Tom Longs probably gets in that best 11. But I'm not sure he's anywhere close to playing even 60 minutes or 65 minutes for us yet, Ox. It's the left side. It's goals we need, isn't it? We're looking for goals, isn't it? I mean, I'm looking at that and I'm going, who's going to score us our goals? And I agree with Linda. Todd Cantwell needs to play in the box, in and around the box.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've ended up with 12 players, but that's all right.
We might need them.
Maybe that's what we need to be. We're playing, Linda.
We might need an extra player. But he's got all these forward players, though, Ox, hasn't he? You just mentioned Tom Lawrence there, and he talked about after the international break, maybe Lawrence being ready to up these minutes. Maybe he'll start him on Saturday. I mean, we're talking about a bit of freshness already when we've brought in all these new players. We're still thinking about bringing somebody in who was there last season, albeit injured. And where do you play Tom Lawrence if you're trying to put Cantwell in the team as well? Because is Tom Lawrence not a kind of number 10 as well behind the forward line?
I think he can play our side as well. So if you do play the 4-1-3-2, that gives you 2 up front. So you can have Lawrence, Cantwell. Lawrence can play. I think, remember thinking back when he had that great game in Eindhoven, I think he played on the right, and Tillman played on the left. If you remember it, yeah.
Yep.
So if you have Lawrence on the right, and then you've got another on the left, you've got guys that will move, work, and graft, and they've got a goal threat, they create, and you've got 2 of them on the pitch. Yeah, and then if you've got 2 strikers, but again, the downside to that is you've not got a lot of width, Linda.
I know. And I had kind of thought about Matondo because, he does give us a bit of width and he's got pace and he has kind of come onto a game. But again, Rabbi we need a final product from him. We got a great goal against PSV, but there's been times in other, when he's had other cameos as well where he should maybe have played somebody in, or his shooting's maybe just not been what we would expect. So, but that might come just with more time with him and his confidence will grow. So I don't know, you're right, the width thing is an issue. We haven't really brought in, and I'm not saying a Ryan Kent replacement for the way Kent was playing the last year, but we don't really seem to have replaced him, albeit the manager did say he thought he had replaced all the players that had left in terms of their positions and their qualities.
Well, I've not signed anybody that plays like Kent, have we? Let's be honest. But I've not signed a winger this. You might have signed somebody who'll play in the position, but they're a different type of player for Kent. He's not getting good press, Jaffa. He's not getting good press, is he?
No, I think he's under pressure, Ox, from what I read. He's been summoned to a few meetings because of his form. Listen, I think we all, not that I know a great deal about Turkish football, but what I have been told about it and what I've seen of it up close is they just don't, it doesn't matter who you are, and they don't suffer fools, in any of the teams between their fans or and the guys that run their clubs. They just don't tolerate that kind of, if they're paying you huge money, Ox, they tell you. Maybe we should adopt that type of management approach. I don't know, would we get away with that with HR in this country?
Linda?
No, I mean, the thing about this whole issue around Michael Beale as well is that he's we talked about when he came in and did we really want him as a fan base, but he was really the manager that was muted, and I know that's not a reason for giving somebody the job, Ox. I was thinking about our conversation about him the other night, and there wasn't really a lot of contenders if for what is true, in terms of what we're led to believe. And I wondered as well if we were influenced by the fact that he'd been offered the Wolves job as well. Remember, he had turned it down, so he was doing reasonably well down south. But I don't know. The thing that worries me a lot about this whole summer rebuild and the summer signings is what we're talking as well, is that these players that he brought in were on his radar for quite a while. And he must have been watching them. He must have thought that they could do a job for us. And, from what we've seen so far, there's a real chance that they might not pick up at all. And, that's going to be really disappointing for us.
Jaffa?
Yeah, Linda, I was thinking about back to when last November time as well, when Gio's time was coming to an end and who the contenders were for the job. And you're right, it became very, very clear very quickly that the only guy that was going to get the job was Michael Beale. He was at QPR and had only managed, I don't know what it was, 27 games or something. And then he's come into our club, and what's happened's happened. We are where we are right now, but how this all plays out is yet to be seen. And listen, Michael Beale can turn it around. This football's weird. It's a funny business. It can happen, but it needs to start this weekend. And I think as fans, we need to start seeing some evidence of that on the park, that the team can turn a performance in. And I will caveat that by saying I would still take a 1-0 on Saturday. 3 points is all that matters. And Michael Beale will know that 3 points is all that matters. If you get a performance in 3 points, then you've done well. That even better. Brilliant magic. If you go out and obliterate St Johnstone 3 or 4-0 and play them off the park, and put in a 90-minute performance, then the fans will start sitting back and going, great, give us more of it, keep it going. And I'm sure that's what he'll say to the team. But we need to start seeing evidence of that, don't we?
I'm in a different camp, London. I think it's important to get a performance in the result.
Yeah, I agree, Ox. But I would just take a win on Saturday. I just think the momentum, you just need to start building that. And away from home, when you're talking about winning league form, you just need to actually pick up the points on the road. 3 points on the road, just chalk the games off and move on. At home, we're looking to be entertained a bit more, and I know it's difficult because teams sit in, but I mean, what some of the football we've witnessed over the last couple of years at Ibrox just hasn't been acceptable. So you want the performances to be really top notch at home as much as they can. But I think Jaffa's right. I would agree when we need to start winning games because it breeds confidence and it builds momentum. I mean, after the St Johnstone game, we've got 4 home games in a row. You've got Betis, Motherwell, I think it's Livy and Aberdeen. Now, the Betis game is going to be a challenge, but you would still think that in previous European form, albeit Champions League aside, we would be expecting to win that game, and it's not being complacent. It's just what we would expect in the Europa League. But the other 3 games, we need to put on performances, and we need to make sure that we're not scraping through in those matches. So that's the sort of target for me for them as a team. They need to, if they can get, if you take that next block, the 7 games we spoke about, if they could get 7 victories, I think that could go a long way to really positively affecting what's going to happen going forward.
Have you got the Alex Kelly book of stats, Linda?
Yeah, he sent me it this morning.
What's our record like against Spanish teams, just out of curiosity?
I don't know. I've not looked at that. Is it not very good? No.
I'll get you the exact number, Jaffa.
I don't know off the top of my head either, Linda, but I suspect and I think I know what's coming here. Yeah, listen, it's Linda, that paper is exactly the kind of form that we need to produce. It's an absolute must. 7 victories, and it starts on Saturday. And as I said, it's a total confidence-based sport. And if they get a victory on Saturday, and even better if they get a victory and a performance. Absolutely, that's the embers that we've been looking for, and then they've got to build upon it. And we've just got to hope that and believe that they can do that. And I'm sure, as a bunch of players, they believe they can do that, but they've got to start producing it. The players have got to start doing it. We've signed a lot of players, and the guys in that dressing room are on in comparative to our league and what we are paying. Probably some of them are the top earners in the league, but in fact, probably most of them are. It's certainly more than the St Johnstone players, and they've got to start producing the kind of form that is deserving of the kind of salaries that they're getting paid.
Aye, it's I see St Johnstone announced a 7-figure loss today, Jaffa.
We could sort that out for them if they give the 3 stands back.
26 games against Spanish opposition. 4 wins, 8 draws, and 14 defeats, Linda.
Goodness, that doesn't augur well, does it?
I think we're record against, Spanish and Italian teams. I think that's what. Who have we played over the years? Real Madrid, Barcelona,
Villarreal,
Valencia twice, Villarreal, Osasuna. Yeah. Interesting, not I mean.
Yeah.
And I'll see if I can get it exactly, but my record against Spanish teams is pretty poor, like.
Yeah, I know. And you just wonder as well, a lot of some of the players have been away in international duty, we know that. But some of the other players, you wonder, like, if they have debriefs, how do these debriefs go? We spoke about this kind of the senior players in the squad and their responsibilities. You just like they chat amongst themselves, and also as well, if you've been played out a position, that kind of breeds a bit of unrest as well. But I saw a wee video. Was it Danilo was doing extra shooting practices and he was doing extra training? And maybe just things like that. It's just that it's taking them a bit longer to settle in, but they should be settled in. This whole thing about taking time to gel, I think it was Davey that made the point the other night that can't be an excuse anymore. They need to really, get off the ground. They really need to start hitting the ground running. And as Jaffa said, if they can start putting a run of results together, the confidence will start to come, Ox.
Do you want the full history against Spanish teams?
Go on then.
Right, I'll give you just for you. First game was against 1962-63 against Seville. We won 4-0 and lost 2-0 away in the Cup Winners' Cup. 63-64. Real Madrid, we'll not mention that. We lost the first game unluckily at Ibrox 1-0 and then get trounced 6-0 away. Real Zaragoza, we beat them 2-0 in 66-67 and lost 2-0 away. I think we went through with a toss of a coin. Get Fox to check that out, he might have been there. Then we played Atletico Bilbao in the first cup, 68-69. Quarter final before we played Newcastle. We won 4-1 at Ibrox and lost 2-0 away. 1979, Valencia drew 1-1 away from home and lost 3-1 at Ibrox. 1995, 96, 86, 85, 86. Osasuna, we won 1-0 at Ibrox, lost 2-0 away. And that was the last time we actually won a game against the Spanish team. 99-2000, drew, lost 2-0 to Valencia at home, away, and then lost 2-1 at home. Mendieta, what a player. 2006, Villarreal, drew twice, 2 each and 1 each. In the Champions League, should have went through. Big Boyd put it in the net, a couple of minutes to go. Osasuna, we drew 1 each at home and lost 1-0 away. 2006, 2006-7, 2007-8, Barcelona. Nothing each at Ibrox, lost 2-0 away. 2009-10, Seville, lost 4-1 home and lost 1-0 away. In the Champions League, 2010-11, Valencia drew 1 each at Ibrox, lost 3-0 away. And then Villarreal, we drew 2 each away and drew nothing each at Ibrox. So you need to go back to 1985-86 when we actually beat a Spanish team, and that was Osasuna. We were out in the tie, but we beat them 1-0 at Ibrox. Yeah. Some great ties in there, Jaffa. Yeah, but the record's not great, is it?
No. And again, Ox, I mean, we've got to put things into a wee bit of perspective in that we know that La Liga's, as I said earlier on, EPL standard. You know, it's Serie A standard.
There's been some big games, but
yeah,
it just shows you, Linda. Has that surprised you?
Yeah, it has. I know we've got better records against certain other countries. I think Portugal we have, haven't we? And Belgian teams we've played quite well against. I knew that we weren't the Italian one. I don't remember that being very successful. Albeit Fiorentina we put out to get to the UEFA Cup final, didn't we, Ox? But the Spanish team, the stats actually surprised me. I didn't think it was as bad as that. The recent Villarreal was that Gerard's first season when we were back when we got to the Europa League, or was that the second season? I can't remember.
2018-19, his first season. It was actually remarkable. That set of results that season in Europe was remarkable, wasn't it?
Aye. When you think about it, we were a wee bit unlucky not to get out the group, actually, weren't we? Was that with Rapid Vienna and Spartak Moscow was the other two teams, but we'd come through all those qualifiers. No, I didn't think the record was as bad as that, but you know, it's a good platform for these players to actually go out and put make that a bit better reading for us.
Aye, won the game at Ibrox. These are the knockout ties, Jeff. I won the game at Ibrox. You get 3 points for it. You can be in the box seat. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Betis are a decent team. I mean, they're in, as I said, they're in one of the better leagues in the world, but they're a mid-table, probably a lower end. So they're not doing particularly well. They've not had a great start to the league either. So, and it's at home. So, as Linda said, what better, opposition to put yourself up your first game of the group stages. Go out and smash that, and that absolutely does your confidence no harm at all. If you go out and get 3 points and get 3 points on the board, get the win bonus and get the coefficient points as well, because we'll be the only team probably getting coefficient points.
Here. Aye, interesting. You can make stats mean anything relevant under there.
Okay, you tough to look at the circumstances of the games and the players that we had, and as you say, that example there, the Villarreal, was remarkable that we actually got through all those qualifiers. Gerard just took over. Very early doors thrown in. The gauntlet was thrown down. We managed to get through, and I remember the way we celebrated that when all the Rangers fans went to the airport to welcome them back. We were delighted we'd got into the Europa League group stage, considering we had progressed Niederkorn the year before.
Aye, that's spot on.
You know, it's remarkable, Ox, and where we've come. You know, but this is all down to the fact that we want to win more trophies. We're just haven't got enough silverware over the last few years, and we're desperate for trophies. We want to win things, but ultimately as well, we want to see our team play some good football. Ox, I'm not talking about every week, but the football that we've seen so far has been hugely disappointing this season.
Hey, can I ask you two a question?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, I just want your views. I'm interested. The manager said a pounding, didn't he? He said a pounding, and I've given my views. Well, some of my views. I think you know off fair. Right, but have the players got away with murder? Because it's all been focused on the manager. Jaffa.
Probably Oxide. Yeah, especially the senior players and the guys that have been there, like Tavernier, Golson, you know, even Barisic, and the boys that have been playing, you know, the in the middle of the park. I mean, I think we've cut a lot of the players slack, probably because a lot of them are new. But certainly the stalwarts that have been there and have just recently signed new contracts and are on hefty salaries. As I said, Tavernier and Golson would be the two that would, you know, captain deserves, you know, criticism. But then you break it down, Ox, and you look at individual performances and you think, well, has James Tavernier been that bad? Has he played that bad? And that's the debate. That's why I think the reason the majority of it's landed at the manager's door, Ox, it's because of the style of play. It's because of the football that's getting served up. And it's because of a lot of things that Michael Beale said, you know, in the style of football that he was expecting us to play. He said he was going to deliver, handbrake off, expansive, you know, playing on the front foot, all those buzzwords. And it's, listen, we've got to call it as we see it, you know, as you know, we all say on the show. That hasn't happened this season. It's not happened. And to a degree, you can say it didn't happen last season either. So, yeah, to answer your question in a short, yeah, the players have got off lightly and the manager has taken a pounding. Is it deserved? Probably. Because I think he's under pressure, Ox.
Right, okay. Wanda?
Yeah, I think some of the players have got off a bit, you know, scot-free, because I think there's the forward players particularly, you know, I think I said that the other night, they should, you know, you look at the chances that they've missed, you know, chances that would have affected games. You know, if you look at the Old Firm game, you know, you've got Lammers going through 1-on-1 with the goalie. He doesn't score. But Danilo's then got a chance to still get as a draw. He can't put that away. And if you look at all the other games, we should have scored 2 or 3 goals in these other games, for the 2 or 3 more goals. When you look at some of the chances, then you also look at the errors. You know, somebody was talking about John Suter today, you know, and I think Big Suter's actually done all right, and he's been available to play. But the defenders have made some really basic errors as well, Ox. I mean, Michael Beale can't really control that. So I think it's been a combination of the manager and the players. But I don't think it's all down to the manager playing players out of position, because I think some of the individual performances, they should all have a good look at themselves, and surely they'll all be thinking that they could have done more.
You'd like to think so, Jaffa, huh?
Well, they're professional, Ox, and they haven't done well enough, you know, as a team and as individually, an individual performance basis, they haven't done it, you know, because we've not won enough matches, and as Linda said, individual errors. And when you actually analyse it and break a lot of the games down, you know, for example, what happened against PSV, you know, it was the one guy, as I've said before, Ox, he never lost a header in our 6-yard box all night, and it happened repeatedly, and it kept happening, and that's why we ultimately got beat 5-1. They scored 4 goals from open play, So yeah, the players have got to take responsibility, and they've got to look at themselves in the mirror, and they've got to say, are they doing their best? Are they playing their best? Are they giving enough effort? And I don't think they are. I genuinely don't. I don't think it does all lie at Michael Beale's door. I think Linda makes a really valid point. He can only put the team on the park, and then he's bearing in mind we're not talking about. We've got a squad full of experienced professional, a lot of them international footballers. And like Danilo's played at a really high level. Lammers has played at a high level. They're all playing in the top leagues in the world, Serie A. Golson's, the header for the Celtic goal, Ox, is just. I can't get my head round that, what he was thinking. Got to be held account.
Aye. I just, I think it's just the way it is, actually. I agree with Beatties. I think the players have got away with it, but I think when things don't go right in modern football, all goes to the manager, Linda, yeah?
Yeah, and I think because we've brought in so many new players, Ox, it's easy for us to blame the manager because that's one person that you would be getting rid of. You're not going to get rid of all those players, so you're hoping that they're going to suddenly become better if you get somebody else to manage them, but that doesn't always follow suit.
Well, we've been joined by Mitchell. Evening, Mitchell.
Hi, Ox. How are we doing?
Good, mate. I'm glad you've joined us. With an hour and 10 minutes to go, not just with 10 minutes to go, mate. We can pick your brains tonight, mate. How are you doing?
Not bad. It's a good job I'm not in the Navy and I'm joining 10 minutes before. I think I'll be sanctioned for 4 days signing and staying on ship. But yeah, not too bad, thank you.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind, mate?
Yeah, I think a little bit deflated, if I'm totally honest with you. I think the last time we spoke, there were a lot of positivity and a lot to play for. Not saying there isn't now. But Michael Beale got that quite horribly wrong, to be totally honest with you. To not get that great feel factor again against Celtic was not exactly brilliant. Against a team where I feel on paper Rangers should be turning them off. They should be taking them off the park. And I just felt like tactically he got it quite wrong. I think he probably panicked a little bit. Maybe that inexperienced part of his management came into play. And bringing Roof off when he did, I think it kind of summed it up for me. A lot of huff and puff about the game.
Was that the big decision for you? It showed his inexperience?
Yeah, I think there was. For me, when you play Celtic, everything's got to be right. It doesn't matter. The occasion speaks for itself. It is the biggest game in football for me. And when you get to those games, you get found out a little bit. This is where you likes of God bless him, Walter Smith comes into play with his great backroom team, and they had the winning mentality, and you take. I'm not disputing Michael Beale because I think he's a great bloke, a great coach, but I feel because he's not been at this level on his own before. I feel like it's more about Rangers having to wait for him to pick up the speed a little bit. And Rangers, unfortunately, don't have time for that. I'm not saying that Rangers should go and sack him because at the end of the day, they felt like his CV warranted being Rangers manager. But there's already early signs for me that's not great personally, and I think the only way to respond is exactly how Ange Postecoglou did at Celtic in his first season and get on that winning run. But we've got to see more from them, Hawks, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. Jaffa?
Yeah, Mitchell, that's it's a sensible take on exactly what happened. You're right. Rangers Celtic matches are probably some of the biggest, or probably the biggest derby in the world, and the atmosphere and everything else was lined up for them. It was all there. All the stars were aligned. They were in a bad run of form. Two guys at the back hadn't played. Blah de blah. And it is about seizing the opportunity, and it's not for the faint-hearted. And hindsight's a great thing. Looking back on it, maybe inexperience was his downfall that day, bearing in mind his opposition has got loads of experience, whether we like that or not. He has at that level. He's an experienced football manager at Liverpool and Leicester and even at that lot beforehand. So he's been there and seen it and done it. And maybe the situation just got the better of him because he did make some bad calls before the match, during the match, and that ultimately is why we got what we got out of it. We got nothing out of it. So maybe he's learned from it. Mitchell, we've got to hope he has, because he's got to bounce back, and he's had to wait 2 weeks, the best part of 2 weeks for it to get sort of some rectification, if you want, on it and sort it out on Saturday. And if the players don't come out and get a victory, then he is going to be in a really, really horrible place. But from my perspective, I still believe he can turn it around. I do. I think he's got the capability to doing it, and I think he's got the players that can do it. But they've got to do it. It's all well and good me saying that or thinking that. He's got to do it. So roll on Saturday.
Well, Jeff, might come back in, Mitchell.
Yeah, I think I keep hearing, obviously, and I totally agree with what you've had to say there. I think there's still a lot of quality in this squad. It's just how we use it and how we can be effective in our ways of beating teams. It's brilliant beating Celtic, but we've still got the same amount of points to claim next week, the week after, and so on. I think with having Europa League there, it does cause that little bit more, how do I put this? A bit more fatigue in the squad. I understand it's a big squad as well, but you want your star players in every game, and quite possibly you're not going to always be able to do that. I do find the Europa League is probably harder than the Champions League in many ways for the turnaround, and some of the teams that you're playing. It's not easy to go back and get a result in the Scottish Premiership, but for me, they've no choice. For how much longer are we going to keep calling it a new group? They've had a lot of games together now already. We've already played the Champions League qualifiers. How many games? 4 games there, 4 games in the Premiership, the friendlies. When you add all that up together, by now we should be starting to see some signs. And there were a few signs, but there were more half chances. I think the referee got it absolutely wrong last week, and the VAR, it was a disgraceful decision. But I've kind of got used to this one, because when Alfredo scored at Celtic last season, there was nothing wrong with it. So, but we're up against that. We're up against 12 men, respectively, pretty much every week. So it's something that you have to try and avoid and try not to think about too much. But I look at ourselves and how we can improve. But I think a lot of it is going to come down to Michael Beale and what he can actually bring to the table now for me.
Hold that thought, Mitchell, and Linda will answer it right after we have a tune.
Oh, every other Saturday's my half day off, and it's off to the match I go. Happily we wandered down the Copeland Road, me and my wee pal Joe. We love to see the lasses with the blue scarves on. We love to hear the boys all roar. But I don't have to tell you that the best of all, we love to see the Rangers score. Me, oh my. Oh, we love to see them cry. We love to see the lasses with the blue scarves on. We love to hear the boys all roar. But I don't have to tell you that the best of all, we love to see the Rangers score. We've won the Scottish League almost every time the League Cups assemble too. We get some exhibitions in the Scottish Cup. We are the cup winners too. when the Rangers win the European Cup, as we've done with the one before. We'll gather round the Ibrox 50,000 strong to give the boys an Ibrox roar. Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, my. Oh, we love to see them cry. We love to see the lads with the blue scarves on. We love to hear the boys all roar. But I don't have to tell you that the best of all, we love to see the Rangers score. Me, oh, me, oh, me, oh, my. Oh, we love to see them cry. We love to see the lasses with the blue scarves on. We love to hear the boys all roar. I don't have to tell you that the best of all, we love to see the Rangers score.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
There you go, Linda, and you come.
Yeah, Mitchell, I'm with you. It really is. It's going to be interesting to see what he does and what he actually brings to the table after the fortnight we've had off there. He's talked about it being his dream job, and I don't doubt for a minute that he wants to be successful. Every manager does. But it's really down to him now, Mitchell, isn't it? It's his players. He wanted to be in charge of the rebuild. We said that he got most of his first choices, so he'll be desperate to turn it around. And surely to goodness, these players they're decent players that he's brought in, because it'll be a bit of a disaster, Mitchell, if we have to look at a new manager again.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think sometimes, I don't know about everyone else, but is he overwhelmed with what he's actually got? We've got quite a lot in every area, and I don't think he really knows his best squad yet. And that's, after all these games, I don't think he knows how to handle it either, in my opinion. I'm not trying to come on here and say that he deserves to go. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'd love to see a bit more consistency and actually understand what our methods are. What are we actually playing for? I don't really understand how we play. I don't really think we've got a clear style that really suits Rangers Football Club. But time will tell. He's under huge. Let's just put this out there. He's under huge pressure, and he'll know it himself. There's been lots of talk this week about his job security, and it's very early to be talking about it. But at the same time, a draw in the Scottish Premiership it feels like a defeat, because how high the expectations are, how competitive it is between the top two every season. So to have this type of start that Rangers have had, there's a long way to go, but there really is under huge pressure to now get some performances and merit them with results.
Jaffa?
Yes, Mitchell, and I couldn't have put it better myself, mate. That's exactly where we are, and that's total clarity on the situation. And I'm sure Michael Beale will know that. He's been around football for most of his life, and senior football and elite football, and he knows how it plays here. He's got to get the players, and I agree with your point there. I actually think he is maybe a bit overwhelmed with what he's got in the front area of the team. Maybe not so much back, but middle to front. I think he's maybe confused it a wee bit, and he's maybe not sure. And I think that's evident, because that would all go and feed into the fact of the kind of performances and why he keeps chopping and changing it. Because he's not 100% sure himself. So because he must be looking at it in training and going, well, he's been playing well this week, or he's been training well today. And then he's juggling the team all the time, and he's trying to get the guys that have been out injured, like Ruth and Tom Lawrence, integrate them back into the first team squad. I think he should just go with who he believes, and when he sat down with a bit of paper on the rebuild and who he thought was going to be his first 11. I think he should stick to it and just play. And if 8 of those players are playing well, fine, and 3 are not playing so well, I'm sure that would still be enough, because I think what's happening at the moment, he's getting himself, the situation's getting fudged a wee bit with guys like Cantwell getting played out of position. Just play, if Cantwell's fit, play him in the area that he should be playing. And I hope Cantwell is fit this weekend. I don't know, I know there's not been a presser, maybe that'll be tomorrow, but it'd be good if Todd Cantwell's been back training again. I know he wasn't training at the beginning of the week, but hopefully he'll be back training again.
Yeah. What's your views on Todd Cantwell, Mitchell?
Yeah, I think for me, Todd's, but his performances speak for themselves in many ways. I think he's very athletic. He has very good feet. He can move. He can shift the ball really well. And when he's on the ball, he's always going to be busy. There's things going off all the time, and he makes things happen. He makes the team tick going forward. I think maybe is it Jaffa? Sorry. As he's just said there, he needs to be played at his strongest point. When you've got a player as good as that, you want him in the best positions possible that he can be in. So, Michael Beale will have had a lot of food for thought in the last few days, over the last week or so, in how he can come back from this. Another thing that probably hurt in that last game the most was the fact that it was full of Rangers fans. There was no Celtic fans there. Maybe sometimes that works against you, because then they know they've got nothing to fear. If they get beat, well, they've got every excuse in the book. Maybe that works in an advantage in some ways, but like I said, there's no excuses. The game should have been. The game was set and almost scripted for a Rangers win, and unfortunately, that script was broken.
Yeah, good points, Mitchell. Good points. Yeah, he puts himself under a wee bit of pressure with the Cantwell situation, Linda. But as I said earlier on, we need a spark, and we all, at the moment, we think he's the guy that's more likely to use it. Todd Cantwell.
Yeah, and I think we based that on the form that we saw from him when he came in January. I mean, he really set the place alight. He was fantastic on the ball. His work rate, and I don't think that's in question. He does work hard, but he was also skillful. He scored goals. I don't think he's yet to score this season as well. He was a real sort of goal threat. And we're not really seeing that from him. And it could be that he's just lacking a bit of form himself as well, Ox, in addition to, being maybe not played in his totally favoured position. But as we said, we're needing a spark. And if one of the forward players can maybe just hit a bit of a goal scoring spree as well, but they've got to be on the park. I think Danilo's only started 2 games, Ox. So, is that right? Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah. I think that's the great point you make. I think there's good competition between the forward players to be in the bench.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll cut across your thing. I've been joined by Jordan. Evening, Jordan.
Hi guys, how you doing?
All right, mate. How's the rehab going and the counselling? All right.
Aye, no bad. It didn't matter what it is anyway. Point of the night is kind of just reflecting on everything, obviously international break and everything, with a couple of weeks to settle down and all that. The point of the night is how long we think that if Beale turns it around, how long we're going to give him. And, look, and analysing, let's say, he goes on a massive run. We're talking about obviously taking the League Cup into consideration. He wins that, which is, for me, is a bare minimum. But are we talking about maybe to Christmas time to give him, he goes on a bit of run and then say, right, he's maybe is a man after all? Or are we just thinking, nah, it's going to have to be longer than that? Or I'll just give him a few games to kick in, because, to be honest, I don't see it, to be fair. So I thought, what's something's views and maybe how long he's got to maybe get a run going and taking this forward?
2:15 on Saturday, Jaffa.
About the same thing I was thinking, Jordan. Yeah, it's just about results for me, Jordan. It's as plain and as simple as that. I don't think there's any ambiguity. I don't think there's any grey areas. I think it's really quite black and white. I think he needs to win football matches. And the more football matches he wins, the more confidence that will breed. And then hopefully comes the style and the team that Mitchell was alluding to, and the actual narrative and how they're playing and what the actual dynamic is. And if you're winning football matches, in my experience and from what I've seen, and I'm sure we've all watched hundreds of football matches and teams that have been highly successful, you see the formation starting, you see the manager's best 11 or best 14 or 15, and that's who he runs with. And that's what Michael Beale, I mean, I say this flippantly, that's all he needs to do. That's quite hard to do, quite clearly, because he's had quite a crack at it already, and it's not happened. So I think, to be honest, Jordan, I don't think if he doesn't win matches, I don't think he'll be there for much longer, to be honest with you.
Aye.
When you come, Mitchell?
I think for me, Michael Beale gets to the next Celtic game, and then whatever happens in that for me is what is the next stage for Rangers. You know, I don't like talking about a manager leaving. I think it's in any person's job. You know, it's never something I like talking about. But unfortunately, he's not. Has he beaten Celtic yet? Once, was it? He hasn't beaten them in this game. Like you look at the cup finals. You know, granted that Sakala misses a great chance. You know, he's not done it when it's mattered. It's failed, unfortunately. Like, for instance, the Champions League qualifiers, as good as PSV are, Rangers still have quality there, and could have, if they had enough nous about them. I think that's where your experience maybe comes in a little bit more. Can come away with something. They proved in that first leg that they could compete against them. I knew it was going to be hard going there, but hey ho. I mean, they had Cody Gakpo last season, who's a fantastic footballer. They had star outlets like Noah Lang, but how come you can look at Giovanni van Bronckhorst, who can go to PSV Eindhoven and win 2-0? You can't. We can't look at it as Rangers fans and think they're the better side than us. It's only mentality that creates that effect. We have to, in every game we've played, no matter who it's against, we've played against better sides than them. You can't come on here and tell me that Borussia Dortmund aren't a better side. You can't tell me that Leipzig aren't a better side. These teams that Rangers have, for me, been the better team in all those games. You know, I know sometimes it can catch up with you, but, you know, I felt like going into that PSV game, there were a lot of negative mindsets, and I can only believe that can reflect on players sometimes. And maybe because of the big shift up that they've had, the big summer, but you bring these players in to improve the squad. I've not seen anything yet. We need to see more. Got to see more. There's been a lot of buys there.
Linda?
Yeah, and I think it was the manner in which they lost against PSV as well, Mitchell. I don't think, there's always the potential that a team will turn you over if they take their chances. We accept that. But the game at Ibrox was a game of two halves. As Ock said, we played better in the second half and lost the second half. But I think if we'd even narrowly went out to them, it would have made it a bit more, I don't mean acceptable, but it might have not left as sour a taste in our mouths. And then you go and win the Old Firm game. That was the more, arguably that was even more important. You're playing at your home stadium. They're not at full strength at all, and we need to just go and win a game of football. And you're right, he's not won a game that matters against Celtic yet, and that's still hanging over him. To not beat them on your home patch was really, really poor for us from our perspective, I think.
Jordan, and you come, mate?
Well, Linda said, given the fact that there was none of their fans there and we had all the optimism, and you're listening to every Celtic fan at the end of the day, and you're saying, well, we'll be happy if we come away with a draw. That just says it all. Now, I'm not saying that we would have went out there and said, that means we're going to beat Celtic, but I'd at least thought, maybe a tough game, but I'm sure we'll get the win. But that was pathetic 2 weeks ago, that performance we put in against them. And like I said, we did win one against them, but it was a meaningless game. But every time Beale's played against them, he's failed. I was into the cup game last season, and I thought, you know something? I'm not particularly confident. It's not even a game I really want to watch, to be fair. And I mean, you think of an Old Firm game, it's a cup final, of course you want to watch it, but the level of confidence that's been started at the news is just unbelievable. That needs to change going forward on Saturday, and it's not just Saturday going forward. Like I think Ross said, it's the minimum of getting a League Cup final now, and possibly going on a massive run to at very least Christmas now. If he fails at least one or two of them, he'll not be here, and that's a matter of fact now, to be fair.
I'm a great believer, and I've said it on the show a few times in the last week or so, Mitchell, once you start talking about managers, it usually only ends in one way. You have exceptions. It usually ends up the one way, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe you go back to Alex Ferguson at Manchester United, quite possibly, when obviously he nearly got sacked and went on to be the greatest ever manager in the... probably one of them. I don't like to say it, being obviously my affiliates with Leeds, but you know he went on to do really well. But I feel like for Michael Beale, is it that he needs more time, or is the time catching up with him already? I mean, it sounds crazy, but in this day and age, you just don't know what's around the corner. There's been a lot of strange activities on his behalf. You know, I've heard a lot of rumours that certain people he's unfollowed on social media. He's changed his profile picture from being in his suit of Rangers back to, you know, just... And I know they're just small things. Maybe they're petty, maybe they're a little bit overthinking, as I normally do. But there are signs there, unfortunately, at times that, you know, what's going off behind the scenes. We don't know the ins and outs, what's going on. We don't know what the board are thinking. You know, they've heavily backed him, so you'd probably like to think that they're going to trust him that little bit longer. But you know, we've got to get going and get the ball rolling a bit more. I do think one point that I would like to make is that as big as the Old Firm, and probably in my opinion the best game in the world is, especially for the atmosphere, these away fan things, you know, they need sorting. It's killing it. It really is. I mean, Ibrox full of Rangers fans is beautiful, but in an Old Firm and at Parkhead as well, it's rubbish. Even when it's 100 fans, it's rubbish. You may as well not even bother turning up. They need to get their heads together and get it sorted now, because the allocations for both teams, it's killing it. It's about both teams. It's about the occasion and what matters to both sides, the rivalry or not. It's pettiness, and it's just a cold war between two teams really that really should understand the magnitude of the fixture and what people think and feel when watching it, really.
Quite complex situation. I'll tell you what, we might take that one, but that's a question we can discuss maybe the next international break. A question to Jordan, and then everybody can chip in. Jordan, I think you made your sort of position pretty clear on Beale. Yeah, but if it goes in a run and we're all happy and it starts on Saturday and everybody's delighted, we move on, we get result against Betis, we beat Livingston, we beat Aberdeen, and things are starting to improve. You know, Motherwell, I think Motherwell's our team we've got to play, yeah. So we start looking and saying, okay, how if the new players that they brought in the summer don't kick on, and it's maybe other players, how do we give them a budget in January?
I don't know. It's a bit kind of... Well, I'm not the one that'll look too far into the future than now. I'm just trying to really take a game at a time by time here. But let's assuming, you know, he goes in a run and it gets to Christmas and, you know, we've won the League Cup and let's say we're in maybe, I don't know, 2 points behind Celtic or something like that, then I'll stick by him. In regards to a budget, I don't know if how much the board are willing to pay out more. They might look for and say, right, okay, we can see things are working here. We'll give them extra to spend to get a few more players and get some more deadwood out in January and really go for the league this time. That's all really depending on how we lead right up to Christmas, to be fair. If we do well, then I'll give them to spend, but like I said, if it's not working out, it won't matter because he'll be gone anyway, to be fair. So it all depends. If he gets to Christmas, still winning a title race and winning the League Cup, that's what it's down to at the end of the day.
Jaffa, if things were to carry on the way they are and the new players are weighted the way we are, how do you give them that money to spend in January? Oh, Jaff, don't like that blunder, and you come.
Hello.
Hello, Jaffa, carry on, mate.
Hello. I was just saying two things, Ox. If that is the case, and the new players that he's just signed, or the clutch of those new players that he's just signed, have not cut it, like Danilo and Dessers and Lammers and others. If they're not playing part, if they've not went in part of that team and they're not part of that run that we're speculating could happen to Christmas time, then I would move them on, Ox. I would cut your losses and move them on. Either put them out on loan and recirculate, because if you've spent the best part of £4 or £5 or £6 million in Danilo and it's not working, I'm sure there's a team in Holland would probably bite your hand off to take him back again. So I would move him. I would move him on, because if it's not worked, then now it's not going to work at all. And I think sometimes we are too much in the habit of kind of sitting players out and going, well, it'll eventually come good. If they've had a fair crack at the whip, and he's maybe had, I don't know, a dozen games or 15 games, and it's not happened for him, and he's only scored 3 or 4 goals, then cut your losses with the guy and move him on. And I think sometimes we need to be a wee bit more ruthless in doing that. And I hear what you're going to say. Moving players on is the most difficult. I know that, Ox, it is, but there's always an avenue for players to move them on. You might even, as I said, cut your losses on it and take a wee hit on it and just sell the guy and recirculate some of the money that way. But it would still throw into question whether the board would back him with more transfer activity. I think they probably would, Ox, if he did go on a run.
I'm going to put you in the spot, Jaffa. I'm going to put you in the spot. Would
I back him if he went on a decent run? I would, Ox. I would back him.
Would you back him if you put your board hat on?
I would give him money. If he goes on a run and he wins the League Cup like Jordan was intimating there, that would be the bare minimum. And we were 2 points behind Celtic going into a potential nearly game against that lot. And the form was up, and we could see the embers, or at least even the beginning of a team that looks with an identity and a style of football befitting of our club. Then I would, Ox. I would give him the money. And I would use that as a lever to almost show that we were all behind him from a board perspective, and there was unity there.
Big call, Wonder.
Yeah, I can understand where Jaffa's coming from. If we do go on a run, but obviously the point, if that's it, despite the fact that some of the new players haven't hit the ground running and they're not playing well, then I know what you're saying, Ox. Would you give him money to buy even more players if he's had to actually depend on the guys that were already at the club? I don't know. When you look at the numbers, you might only be talking about a couple of signings anyway, but you've still got to trust them with funds. I see what you're saying, but I think it will depend on the circumstances. But not every signing works out, and I think we have been guilty in the past of maybe not moving players on, but it's whether a club's willing to take them. That's the issue, isn't it, Ox?
When the money are usually on at our place, you don't want to move, and you come, Mitchell.
Yeah, I think it's such a difficult situation for any of us to really put a definitive answer on, because we're I think 4 games into a campaign that's I don't think we're a quarter of the way through yet. So, to even start talking about players leaving or coming in, it's as supporters and because we want the team to do well, we start the anticipation for, success, and the demands and the expectations becomes that bit more real when there's a sense of panic around the club. We've got to give them time. I mean, Danilo has not even I don't think he's had enough time yet. They've got to start and give him some decent amount of minutes. I think Michael Beale's going to have to be ruthless in some ways and say, right, and say to his coaching team, this is my number 9 for the season. And he's got, even when it's not quite working, he's got to stick with it, because chopping and changing all the time, there's no continuity, there's no, nothing's going to evolve enough. And I think for me, by doing that, he's going to set the standard right there to start with. I believe that in terms of the recruitment, there's obviously going to be time will tell on how good these boys are going to be. But some of these players are bright. I don't even have a clue who they are. Like, I'd rather us not bring in a bunch of average players in and bring 2 or 3 top quality players in if we can help it. At the start of the season, when you're looking at it and players are looking at it, they're thinking, right, it's potential for Champions League. So it's going to be a lot more enticing for players to come. I think they've spent a lot of money, and I just hope come, let's say, 15, 20 games, we're not looking at it and thinking, blooming heck, 6 million here, a few million there. When that all adds up and you're thinking, we've got all these people off the wage bill and we've brought these in, and you're stuck there thinking, crikey, we're going to have to get rid of these now. And almost you're restarting again. And that we literally, it feels like a restart this summer. And you do not want to be playing catch-up again. We can't afford to. The stakes are too high for catch-up. And with an inexperienced manager, it does add up in the end. But, we've got to have players stepping up. Your likes of Scotty Arfield have left. Who's going to step into that role? You go to Aberdeen and you're 2-1 down with 4 minutes to go, and a player like that comes on and makes that sort of impact. It's extremely hard, and Arfield made it look very easy at times. We need leaders and characters that are going to put tooth and nail in, and even if they're going to break their ankle, they're right in there to win the football match. These are the fine margins for me.
Bounce to the ball, selection, missed chances, concentration. But you've got to get them right. That's what you're paid for, and paid top dollar. Wonder.
Yeah, and when you get a whole lot of new players into your club, Ox, sometimes you just need to get over the line with results. And I think we would have accepted that as a support. Yeah, we wanted a different brand of football, but we just thought that would come. But I think, when you get a whole load of new players, as I've said, if you can just win, the important games, and then the performances start to get even better. But they've not got a lot of credit in the bank, and it's very, very early doors. And Michael Beale himself doesn't have any credit in the bank because he failed to win that semi-final, and he failed to win the final of that League Cup last season. So he's not got any credit in the bank at all as a manager. I know he won the league when he was part of Gerrard's team. But generally, he's under pressure because he's yet to win what we would call, Ox, a big game.
You know what Money in the Bank's like, Jaffa? When you take it out, you lose interest.
You do indeed. Ox, listen, it's for me, it's quite simple and straightforward. He just needs to start winning football matches. Just one game at a time. I know it's the oldest cliche, and we all hear it week in, week out. You'll hear it in Match of the Day. You hear it for every manager across the globe. Just win football matches. That's all you need to do. Just go out and win. Performance, would be great, but I would take that as a second. He needs to concentrate, and as some of the guys there were saying, get his best 11 on the park on Saturday and get them fired up and ask them for an absolute man-to-man performance, 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10 performance from the high majority of them. And if you can get that, Rangers will run out winners and they'll put a performance on for the fans.
And that's put in the right position as well.
Aye, exactly, Jordan. Exactly, pal. And playing some of the guys that we know, Cantwell's of this world, and Sima, and whoever else he's going to choose, Matondo. I saw Matondo in the Old Firm game, and I don't know what he was trying to do with him. I really don't. It still baffles me. I saw him at one point. He was standing. He was telling him to hug the touchline. Why? Get him to play on the shoulder, the right back. There's nobody in the country can touch him for pace.
I can understand because it looked to me as that Sterling was killing all his pace, all his space, mate. You know, going outside, and then he was having to go inside, and he was playing on the left, and he was right footed, so the two of them were wanting to go inside, and you're saying, this doesn't make sense. You know, but anyway, that's the frustrations. Mitchell, are we as bad as we're making it, or do we just need a spark?
I think the spark comes from the group. You know, there's plenty. I'm not ever going to dispute the quality that Rangers have got, but I think because of the Champions League, maybe that's had an impact. But you know, there's no time to feel sorry for themselves. They've got to pick themselves back up. You know, I think about there was talk of firing the players up. They've just played Celtic. If they can't get fired up for that and chuck tooth and nail at it, then when will they be able to get fired up in front of a full house of Rangers fans? So, I don't believe that we can keep talking about mentality and energy levels, because if they can't put the energy levels and the effort and the expectations above them against Celtic, then we've no chance. But saying that, I'm going to still comment on the fact that I don't believe Beale's found his best side yet. I think there's a lot more to come, but we've got to get it sorted quicker, sooner rather than later. Michael Beale loses against a few more teams, and unfortunately, I don't see where it can go. And I know he's been backed, but what the expectations are like, and what this modern day age is like for managers.
I don't think you'd be alone in thinking that. Right, okay. We'll change it up a wee bit and try and see if we can take some positives. There's two guys come back from injury. Linda Mitchell knows one of them quite well. And Bruce and Lawrence, one could play in the left-hand side of midfield, creativity. Dig Workman, could pass, create. Decent player. Another one could play beside the striker or as a striker. I don't think he is a lone striker personally, but then we know he scores goals. So is that a big plus? And can you see both of them starting at the weekend?
Yeah, I could see both of them starting, Ox. And I think actually Beale himself has been saying about those two are in his plans very much as starters. And that gives them even more options, right enough to mull over. But I could see both of them starting. Kamar Roof, definitely. And Lawrence, he did say that after the international break, he was hoping that Lawrence would be able to start working towards maybe even playing a full game. You maybe wouldn't do that with him, but I wonder if he will start both of them. And, maybe Lawrence will give us an hour. Maybe even 70 minutes, and hopefully by that time, we might even be a couple of goals to the good. But I don't know. I know we're talking about freshening things up when we've just did a rebuild. But maybe it's just a case of taking a couple of the players out of the firing line as well, a wee bit, Ox, that have been starting and not performing. Because I think he definitely rates Tom Lawrence, and I think he would want to get him into the starting lineup probably sooner rather than later, I think.
Jaffa?
I mean, obviously, Roof played against Ross County and started the game and scored a cracking goal, I have to say, which was brilliant. I could see Roof possibly starting. I'm not sure that Lawrence is maybe a starter at this stage. I mean, I know the manager spoke about him, as Linda said, but I think he's probably got fitter guys in the pool, Ox. And if we're talking about putting the best players in their correct positions on the park, I mean, Tom Lawrence is a fantastic footballer. I rate him really highly. I didn't know a lot about Tom Lawrence until he came to our club, and last season, the wee bit that I saw of him, I thought, oof. I mean, he really did. He looked the real deal. But it depends on fitness levels, Ox, I guess, whether he wants to get them in the team, or as Linda said, whether he feels he needs to get them in the team. And, he'll know that in the inner sanctuary of what's been going on behind the scenes, what guys are right up, and got the right frame of mind, and who he feels he can trust. But it's changing again, isn't it? It's changing the group up again, and if we're saying that's what's causing part of the problem, we're bringing more players into the fray, but that's football, isn't it?
And showbiz. Mitchell, keep my roof going well.
Yeah, I think probably I'll be slightly a little bit more biased towards him, but his injury record's cost him quite a lot really, because he's a very talented footballer. He brings a lot to the team, not just even goals. His general play, his build-up play is very good, and he integrates really nicely. I think, his goal against Celtic was absolutely fantastic. That, perfectly good goal. Ross County again, another one. And I think the first time, I'm going to say, when I first saw Roof, and he caught my eye, was down for Oxford United in the FA Cup against Swansea City quite a long time ago. And that moment was quite a distinct one when he scored, and some of the goals were fantastic. Came to Leeds, and again, his injury record, I said before he joined Rangers, was if he could keep fit, you're going to get a 20-goal man striker easily. And he's proved, for me, he's shown that. In some of these games where he's scoring, if he's fit, he does that week in, week out for me, and that's what he can bring to a group. I think you've got to start Roof. I really do. If he's fit, he's got to be the number 9 for me. And then we can maybe look at maybe 70 minutes. But at the same time, why not play 2? Why not be positive and go for it? What have we got to lose, really? Against any side in this league, Rangers can beat. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. Granted that, the run against Celtic isn't great overall in the last so many games, but there's enough quality in that squad to still win this title for sure. I know there is. It's just a frustrating time because we've not started ideally well, but we can do this. I know we can.
And you come, Jordan.
Bill's got to be playing strongest team. We can't sort of say chop and changing it every single week and playing players out of position at the end of the day, because that just brings a sort of unrest. And ideally, I'd like to see Roof up front, probably with Danilo, because he paid £6 million for him at the end of the day. But I think if he plays the usual sort of formations he's played recently, then it could be probably the same predictable, turgid game where we're not making the best of things, we're not winning comfortably at 3 or 4-0, and it's another hanging on nervy game where they might finish about 1 or 2-1 or something, 1 or 2-1 or something like that, which, okay, it's 3 points, but it's not great watching at the end of the day. Like Mitchell said, I think you play your strongest team, you actually go for it, then there's a better chance it will go in this run at the end of the day, and then, potentially be in a good position coming about Christmas time. So that's what I want to see. Now, whether or not we're going to get that the weekend remains to be seen. But ideally, if Bale's going to be serious about keeping his job and actually getting somewhere and playing football that Rangers should be playing, then that's what he needs to do. Otherwise, like I said, if he doesn't do that and we keep dropping points, then, as I've repeated constantly tonight, he's not going to be here much longer.
I'm sure there's a saying with Sherlock and some other thing mentioned, but I think you're right there. No, need to laugh on it. Wasted. Totally wasted.
I thought I was on mute.
Aye. It's going to be interesting. As soon as we can move on and develop and get through a run of results, hopefully, Linda, and we forget about the manager because we're talking about players and, he's a better player than we realised at first, he's took off. That's all we're hoping for. But at the moment, we've not seen that. They've all scored goals, and you take Dowell's goal against Livingston, the Glamour's goal against Livingston, Glamour side away, Matondo's goal against PSV, the Seamus goal against PSV, they've all showed in glimpses, Linda. Yeah. They've got something.
Yeah.
Carry on.
No, you're right, Ox. There's been glimpses, but it's not really been this complete kind of 90-minute performance either. And I feel as if it's Groundhog Day with that. We've had issues with that over the last couple of seasons. And Tav's the top goal scorer again. You know, he's got four? I think he's got 4 goals. That can't be the case this year. You know, although if it did happen and we won the league and we won a treble or something, we wouldn't complain. But I think we're all of the view that, you know, the forwards need to step up and we need to share the load across the front, you know, players that we've got. I just hope on Saturday we come out on the front foot, Ox, and really go for St Johnstone. You know, show them that we've got better players, we're a better team. And, you know, the Ross County game, we started really well. We got a couple of goals and then we took our foot off the gas. They got a couple of chances and we've got a real habit of doing that as well as a first team. So, but it does go back to the fact that, like Jaffa says, I just want the 3 points on Saturday. But if we get the performance, I would be very, very happy with that too.
Jaffa?
Front foot football, that's high press, all of that stuff that I'm sorry to hark back to it, Ox, but that game on Tuesday night, for 90 minutes, every player in that England team, and I'm not for a minute comparing us to England, I'm not saying that, don't misunderstand me, nothing like it. I'm just talking about their application and their attitude as footballers. It was a friendly match. I know it was Scotland, England, but every player on that pitch, that England team, absolutely gave the game 110%. Done exactly what the manager asked them to do. Kept control of the ball, one-touch football, high press, and they got the rewards. And they got the rewards throughout the whole of the match. It was brilliant, from the defenders to the forwards, every player on the park. And for me, it was the game of football that's most prevalent in my mind because I just saw it and I watched it. Was brilliant from the perspective of tactics and the way they applied themselves and the way they got through the game. And I thought it was probably one of the best football matches I've seen from a individual team. Phil Foden, every man in them was brilliant. And I hope if we can replicate a performance like that from a tactical point of view and just go out and play your game, forget about the opposition, do what you do and what you're brilliant in. And as Linda says, we've got absolutely 100% better players in our pool. Just go out and play your game and do it. Not lethargically, not at a low pace, not at a low tempo. None of that slowing down the game and turning backwards all the time. Stop all that. We need to eradicate that out with tactics. It slows everything down for me. Just keep going forward and keep trying to score goals and ultimately keep control of the ball. And that's all I'm asking. It's not a lot, is it?
No. So you were saying one of the wrong players there, do.
Do.
Mitchell, you can't compare England's performance against what we're watching, however. But it doesn't mean that your team at any level, your other team, Leeds United, or your team, your team as well, Glasgow Rangers, there's no reason why you can't have the energy or the fitness levels. You accept that the quality will shine through, but at the start of the game, you should be able to close Harry and work hard, yeah?
Yeah, look, I think fitness is 30% of the game. You know, if you give yourself an extra 30% chance of winning a football match, if your fitness is absolutely brilliant. Don't get me wrong, you know, you look at the likes of Andy Robertson the other night, he gives away an absolute stinker of a goal. But, you know, at the same time, England were cruising at 2-0 and, you know, they give away a goal and it sometimes can change games that slightly, you know, it gives everyone a lift and everything. But when players are on 100 grand, 200 grand, even 300 grand a week, that's your difference. You know, the quality's there to show. But, you know, going back to the original point, you can do more. You can always do more as players. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. You know, I know it's the FA Cup, but I've seen teams beat higher teams get beat by lower league teams. It's all about mentality. I mean, Aberdeen got beat by, who was it last time in the Cup? Someone quite low down.
Darvel, the Ayrshire team.
Yeah, So the examples are all there. Sometimes, though, there is literally nothing you can do. I think the best part for Scotland was the other night was half-time when Icon Boogie came on. I'm not going to lie. I think that was the best part for Scotland. And the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic at Hampden. But for me, Rangers on a more focused level, you know, they've got to have application. Every game, they've got to have the same mentality and go out and play with spirit, high intensity football, because they've no choice. The stakes are too high to not do it. And I know that within this group that maybe we might just start to see something after this international break. A little bit more clarity in how we play, a little bit more nous about us. Hopefully Beale's learnt from a few of the mistakes he's made and maybe might think differently coming up in these games. But, you know, the stature of Rangers should be beating the likes of St Johnstone, Hearts, Hibs. But I'm not trying to take any respect away from them clubs. But end of the day, they've spent a lot of money. They need to start showing for it now, which I'm sure they will.
I hope you're right. Right, okay. How's it going to go then? We'll start really focusing on Saturday's game, just Saturday's game, because it's going far away. We'll get a press conference tomorrow. Jordan, how do you think it's going to go, mate?
I think we'll see about the first 5 or 10 minutes how the game's going to go. That just seems to be a common theme when watching Rangers anew. Always, sometimes regardless whether we've started fast or started slow, there's always going to be a period in the game where we're slow and pedestrian and all that kind of stuff, especially between about the first maybe half an hour and then about maybe 20 minutes to go in the second half. So kind of similar to the Ross County game, the way we started off, fast, quick-paced, and even grab a couple of goals in that. But like Mitchell says, it needs to be more clinical, more fast, a lot more quicker than what it has been. You know, you don't want to be sitting in front of the TV and sitting screaming and shouting, "Well, get the ball forward, pass this quick." Because we've seen it too many times, and there's no pace up front. So that has to be eradicated for Saturday. We need to go right at St Johnstone, put our foot into the game, make them know that we're a better team at the end of the day. I'm going to be more positive, much more positive than what I was a couple of weeks ago. I think we will get a decent result, and I'm going to go for 3-0 Rangers.
Yeah. Java?
I think we'll put a performance in on Saturday, Pops. I'm like Jordan. I'm with him on that one. I think it's 3-0 Rangers.
Okay. What are you thinking, Linda?
I'm thinking that if we start on the front foot and we get a good start to the game, I think we'll get a couple of goals up, and I think we'll add to it in the second half. I'm going to go for a 4-0. I might even be 4-1. We might concede a goal, but if we can get 4 goals, I would be happy with that. And I think if Danilo gets a start, I think he'll chip in with a couple. Roof will get one, and somebody maybe somebody at the back from a corner, maybe a Golson header or something. But I'm going to go 4-1 Rangers Ox.
If we don't keep a clean sheet, do you chastise Jack's cardboard cutout?
Yeah, depends whether he's at fault or not.
Has he been chastised this season?
Not really, no. Apart from the Golson own goal, but I'm still putting that down to Golson. He should have cleared it.
I agree. I think it was Golson's fault. How do you see it going at the weekend for us, Mitchell?
I think first of all, there's got to be a reaction. You know, I think we all know that. But you know, there's still to win a football match this season in the league. St Johnstone only drawing 2 and losing 2, but one of those draws was against Celtic, so they clearly know how to go to an intimidating ground already and come away with something, sit in a low block, you know, and give everything they can to take something away from the game. So we know they can set up in a way that can frustrate teams at the top end of the table. So that's something that I think we've got to be wary of. But it's all about that first goal. It's got to be quick. We cannot be leaving it 15, 20 minutes for me before we get that first one. It's got to be fast. If they get that goal fast, their confidence will soon drop. And I think they can do really well, Rangers. So for me, what I'm going to say is they're going to score in the first 10 minutes. And I think they're going to win 4-0. I'm going to go 4-0. Clean sheet, positive.
Oh, if we're not getting a result with us having the 3 stands up there and it gets to 50, 60, 70 minutes, Jaffa,
I know,
pressure.
pressure.
Does it?
No, and I'm not thinking that way. That's why I like the guys here. And I think Mitchell makes a really, really valid point. Got to get a reaction, Ox. They've got to get a reaction. The fans, the players, and the management have got to get a reaction out of the team. An absolute must.
Yeah. Right, okay. Right, well, obviously, there's a game in Scotland tomorrow night, so between now and maybe tomorrow, before that game starts, you've still got a chance to join the last man standing. It's a rollover. Nobody won it the first week, so the money's carried forward. We'll get some money for charity, and we'll get half the money goes to the build up the prize kitty. So if you want to have a go, you can have a go at shop.rangersradio. Yeah, let me just get that right. Sorry. Shop.rangersradio.online. Yeah, it's a $5. It's a bit of fun, and see if you can beat the pundits, because it was 3 pundits that were left in the last round. Well, a pundit's daughter, or Charlotte. So there was Port, Charlotte, and Southside were the last 3 standing. So let's see if you can beat the pundits. Somebody can win it, and we make some money for the 6 kids at York Hill and the Queen Elizabeth now, as it is now. Right, so have a go. Get your teams to Young GB and Facebook. Contact them or use the shop at short.rangersradio.online. It's a $5 if you took that before, or if you want to buy in, it's a $10. With half the money going to that worthy cause, half the money going to the prize. It's simple, it's fun, and I'm going to get past the first round this time, Jaffa.
Pick Airdrie.
Pick Airdrie, is that what you're saying?
Pick Airdrie.
Is that your prediction?
That's my prediction, Airdrie.
You shouldn't put it out there, mate. You're setting yourself up. Don't learn for Southside, the Super 6. No comment.
No comment. I've done that too many times. I just do it there. It's like putting a dart on a board.
Aye. Right. Listen, Jordan. Always good to hear from you, mate. I'm glad that your therapy's coming on, mate. You're starting to turn that frown upside down.
Always.
Good to hear from you.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you. Good to talk to you guys tonight. When's the next show?
When do you think, Jordan?
Is it tomorrow?
Well done, mate. You're sharp. You are. No luck goes by you, is there?
Yeah, they go. I've had my look as tonight, so I'll be getting switched on to be fair. I'll probably
Tomorrow
be
night
on the
between
morning,
8
guys.
and 10, mate. Tomorrow night.
Take care.
Mitchell. Cheers, mate. Mitchell,
Thank you
always
for
an
the
absolute...
people.
Cheers, mate. Mitchell,
Cheers,
always an absolute pleasure. And it was great to have you on for a bit of time tonight, mate.
Yeah, as always, I love coming on here, and I'm sure in the comments of the Rangers fans as well, I just want to say thank you to them and to you guys for letting me come on, because I don't know how you guys take it when an English accent comes on here, but I just want to say how much respect I've got for this club, as I always do. You know, I think the pride of Glasgow and Scotland, you know, it speaks for itself. It's the most successful club in Scotland, and I expect it to continue that way. As soon as we can get things together and get that spark going, we're nearly there. And I don't think we're as far away as as the negativity feels at the moment. We just need that wood to keep ticking, or maybe go up the road and get a lighter just to spark it off a little bit. But we'll get there, don't we? We are the people.
We might be Scottish, mate, but we're a quintessential British club, mate. Remember that.
Exactly. By the way, I am actually half Scottish. By the way,
I know. I know more about you than you do.
I wouldn't put it past you, Ox. I wouldn't put it past you.
Trust me. All right. Thanks a lot, Mitchell. Great to hear from you, and you're always welcome on here, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, always. Well, last word for your good self, Jaffa.
Yep, thanks for having me on, Ox. Great show. Lovely being on with Linda and yourself. Always, just keep positive, and I'm sure Saturday's a turning point, Ox. I'm absolutely sure of it.
Oh, I hope you're right. I don't know if I could take another week of this on here, Linda.
No, definitely not, Ox. I'll echo Jaffa's sentiment. Hopefully this weekend's a turning point. Great being on with Jaffa and your good self, and some great comments from the other guys as well. But Rangers, just go out and win at the weekend, and please don't ruin another weekend for us. But get the victory, and if we get a performance, that'll be a bonus, and let's hope it's a stepping stone, Ox.
Somebody's have to face the music, can't they just run away on holiday, you know?
Yes, well, I was going to say, please don't ruin my holiday. When I'm away, please continue to win, Rangers.
What is this week 36, and that's your 34 holidays, I think.
This is my first one.
This month?
I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks, guys.
All right, for some Jaffa, innit?
I know, bad. It just shows you the money she must be on,
Oh dear. Unbelievable, Jaffa. See her contract compared to the rest of us. You know. Right, listen, thanks to Mitchell and Jordan for joining us. Jaffa and Linda for doing the show, always a pleasure. Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals, and everybody's taking part in the Last Man Standing. Bit of fun, get in there. shop.rangersradio.online, simple. A £5 if you took part the last time, and a £10 to buy in. Right, we'll be back tomorrow night, as Jordan might have said, between 8 and 10, talking about all things Rangers. And you might get Southside Super 6. Thanks for listening. Take it away, Old School Blue.